Harley dealers are offloading bikes at shocking discounts, and not just the flops. These 14 models are vanishing fast in states you wouldn't expect. Miss this list, and you might miss your last shot at a deal or dodge a disaster. Watch until number 1. It's the biggest surprise of all. Number 14. Harley Davidson Sport Glide. For riders who wanted one bike to do it all, this one looked like the answer until it wasn't. It tried to strike a balance between light cruising and light touring, but in doing so, it fell short of truly excelling at either. Cruiser purists found it too heavy, while touring riders dismissed it as under-equipped. With its unique detachable mini-fairing and compact saddlebags, it was built to be versatile, but many riders just found it conflicted. It runs on the Milwaukee 8 107 engine with a displacement of 1,746 cubic centimeters, producing 92 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. The braking system features a 4-piston fixed front caliper and a 2-piston floating rear caliper. Suspension includes an inverted front fork and a coilover monoshock in the rear with remote hydraulic preload adjustment. The wet weight is 726 pounds, the seat height is 25.7 inches, and the starting price is $19,999. In theory, the concept made sense, a compact bike with light touring features. But in states like Georgia and South Dakota, dealerships saw the same story play out. Buyers walked in expecting a bike that could go the distance and handle daily errands. Instead, they found something that didn't quite fit either mold. As more refined options have entered both categories, this one has slipped through the cracks. The next bike on the list proves that even raw simplicity isn't enough when comfort and practicality take center stage. Number 13. Harley Davidson Softail Standard. This one was designed with one goal in mind: pure stripped-down riding. It promised riders a raw mechanical experience without the distractions of added tech or bulky accessories. For a while, that promise landed. Riders looking for a clean slate, something they could personalize or keep simple, gravitated to it. But as expectations around comfort, utility, and value evolved, this bare-bones approach started to feel less classic and more incomplete. It runs the Milwaukee 8 107 engine with a displacement of 1,748 cubic centimeters, delivering 87 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by a 4-piston fixed front caliper and a 2-piston floating rear caliper. Suspension includes a traditional telescopic front fork and a hidden rear coilover monoshock with preload adjustability. The wet weight is 655 pounds, the seat height is 25.8 inches, and the starting price is $14,900. In cities like Indianapolis and St. Louis, interest started strong but didn't hold. Riders who bought in for simplicity quickly discovered the limits: no passenger setup, no luggage capacity, and little wind protection. As entry-level buyers look for more turnkey solutions and seasoned riders want comfort without compromise, this model falls into a shrinking middle ground. It still appeals to a small group that loves minimalism, but for most it now feels like a starting point that never quite starts. The next bike on this list proves that attitude alone won't keep a machine relevant when technology and comfort are left behind. If you're still watching, you're clearly the kind of rider who pays attention to the real trends, so hit that like button to keep this kind of content coming, and let us know in the comments. Which Harley do you think still deserves its place on the road? Number 12. Harley Davidson 48. Reputation wasn't handed to this one. It was carved out with muscle and attitude. It once ruled city streets and bar parking lots, standing out with nothing more than its silhouette and a loud, no apologies presence. But as more riders started asking for distance, comfort, and efficiency, this one got left behind with little more than its looks to stand on. It uses the air-cooled Evolution engine, producing 65 horsepower and 73 pound-feet of torque from 1,202 cubic centimeters. The braking system features a 2-piston front caliper and a 2-piston rear caliper with optional anti-lock braking system functionality. Suspension includes a standard telescopic front fork and dual coilover shocks in the rear. The wet weight is 552 pounds, the seat height is 26 inches, and the starting price is $12,299. In cities like Milwaukee and Memphis, the 48 still draws glances from passers-by, but fewer riders are committing to it. The small tank limits range to barely over 100 miles. The forward controls and tight ergonomics are tough on the knees and back. And while it may be visually timeless, its design has barely changed in more than a decade. Today's riders want more out of even their stripped-down bikes: refinement, versatility, and practicality. The next bike on the list attempted a bold reboot of tradition but ended up drifting too far from everything riders connected with in the first place. Need reliable gear that won't break the bank? We've linked our favorite helmets, gloves, and toolkits below. Tested by real riders, no fluff. Check the description. Number 11. Harley Davidson Nightster. It aimed to evolve the Sportster legacy, but left behind what made it legendary. With a modern platform, liquid-cooled engine, and stripped-down styling, it was meant to bridge Harley tradition with new-school engineering. But for many riders, especially in markets like North Carolina and Utah, it came across as neither familiar nor thrilling, just something in between. It is powered by the Revolution Max 975 engine, producing 90 horsepower and 70 pound-feet of torque from 975 cubic centimeters. Braking is handled by a 4-piston front caliper and a single-piston rear caliper, both equipped with a standard anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes a conventional telescopic front fork and dual rear shocks with preload adjustment. The wet weight is 487 pounds, the seat height is 27.1 inches, and the starting price is $13,499. On paper, the numbers are solid and the handling is more responsive than older models in the Sportster lineup. But out on the street, it struggles to inspire either confidence or loyalty. Traditional riders miss the air-cooled grunt and visceral charm of the earlier models, while newer riders often look elsewhere for better all-around value. In dealerships across Salt Lake City and Charlotte, the Nightster hasn't found much traction. Too refined to feel gritty, too mild to feel modern. The next bike on this list proves that even with power and flash, a lack of real-world usability can park a legend right in the corner of the showroom. Number 10. Harley Davidson Breakout. From day one, this machine was designed to make an entrance. With its stretched profile, wide rear tire, and aggressive chrome styling, the Breakout was the definition of muscle cruiser attitude. It made an impression wherever it rolled, but when it came time for practical daily riding, many found that its looks came at the cost of comfort, control, and range. It is powered by the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, producing 103 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque from 1,923 cubic centimeters. Braking is managed by a 4-piston front caliper and a 2-piston floating rear caliper. Suspension includes a traditional telescopic front fork and a coil-over rear shock with hidden preload adjustability. The wet weight is 679 pounds, the seat height is 26.2 inches, and the starting price is $21,999. In cities like San Diego and Miami, the Breakout once flew off the floor, especially among younger riders who valued style above all else. But now the long rake and oversized wheels make tight urban maneuvering difficult, and the stiff ride wears down even short commutes. Riders looking for touring flexibility or city convenience have moved on to better balanced machines, and the Breakout has become a niche choice with limited appeal. The next bike on this list shows that even a legendary nameplate can struggle when performance fails to meet modern expectations for rideability and range. Number 9. Harley Davidson Fat Boy 114. You don't just ride this one, you command it. Its solid wheels, wide stance, and unmistakable profile made it an icon on the streets and in Hollywood alike. But while its image remains strong, the riding experience has fallen out of step with what many riders want today. The Fat Boy still turns heads, but fewer riders are willing to wrestle with its bulk in everyday use. It runs the Milwaukee 8 114 engine, producing 94 horsepower and 119 pound-feet of torque from 1,868 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes a 4-piston fixed front caliper and a 2-piston floating rear caliper. Suspension consists of a cartridge-style front fork and a hidden hand-adjustable rear monoshock. The wet weight is 699 pounds, the seat height is 26.6 inches, and the starting price is $21,899. In places like Austin and Chicago, the Fat Boy still has loyal fans, but it is being edged out by more versatile cruisers. Riders over 50 are increasingly looking for lighter bikes with better geometry, smoother handling, and more flexibility for long rides or city traffic. What used to be seen as dominating the road now feels like a challenge to maneuver. It remains a strong machine with unmistakable presence, but that presence comes at a cost, literally and physically. The next bike on the list shows that even when a name carries history, riders today are demanding more than tradition to justify their next ride. Number 8. Harley Davidson Iron 883. Many riders took their first real journey on this very machine. It was compact, tough-looking, and affordable. Everything a beginner or a returning rider wanted from a no-nonsense cruiser. But the world moved on, and the Iron 883 didn't. What was once an entry-level icon is now showing every bit of its age in a market demanding more refinement, comfort, and reliability. It uses the air-cooled Evolution engine, producing 50 horsepower and 54 pound-feet of torque from 883 cubic centimeters. Braking is managed by a 2-piston front caliper and a 2-piston rear caliper, with optional anti-lock braking system capability. Suspension includes a standard telescopic front fork and dual coilover rear shocks. The wet weight is 564 pounds. The seat height is 25.7 inches, and the starting price is $11,999. In cities like Denver and Columbus, the Iron 883 once outsold anything in its class. Riders love the low seat, blacked-out style, and old-school stance, but the lack of technological updates, dated suspension, and poor heat management began to wear thin. New buyers expect smoother shifts and easier maintenance, while experienced riders are opting for mid-tier bikes with more comfort and equipment right out of the crate. The Iron 883 still has a following, but even its die-hard fans admit it is nearing the end of the road. The next bike on this list took a very different route, introducing a new engine and new direction, only to end up just as isolated. Number 7. Harley Davidson Road Glide CVO. Every inch of this machine was crafted to impress, on the road and at the curb. With exclusive paint, loaded electronics, and sheer presence, the Road Glide CVO was supposed to command attention on the road and on the showroom floor. But in markets like Los Angeles and Newark, more riders are turning away from the high price tag in favor of practicality and value. It features the Milwaukee 8 121 engine, producing 115 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque from 1,987 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes reflex-linked anti-lock braking with Brembo 4-piston front and rear calipers. Suspension consists of high-performance front and rear units with adjustable preload and electronically controlled ride modes. The wet weight is 894 pounds, the seat height is 26.7 inches, and the starting price is $51,499. For those who want everything in one bike, power, comfort, tech, and custom detailing, the Road Glide CVO delivers. But for many riders, especially those downsizing or buying smarter, it simply costs more than it gives back. In today's market, spending over $50,000 on one motorcycle feels excessive, even if it checks every box on the spec sheet. Riders are choosing 2 mid-level bikes or 1 refined touring model rather than investing in a luxury build. The next bike on the list may not be as flashy, but it once defined stripped-down touring, and today that simplicity has started to hold it back. Number 6. Harley Davidson Electra Glide Standard. Once known as the straight shooter of the touring lineup, it was all about the miles. It carried the bones of a road-ready heavyweight, but skipped the screens, audio systems, and visual flash. For a time, that simplicity appealed to riders who just wanted to go the distance without the extras. But in today's market, that no-frills approach is becoming harder to justify. It is equipped with the Milwaukee 8 107 engine, producing 90 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque from 1,746 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes reflex-linked front and rear disc brakes with anti-lock braking system functionality. Suspension consists of a dual bending valve front fork and hand-adjustable rear shocks. The wet weight is 825 pounds, the seat height is 26.8 inches, and the starting price is $21,999. In areas like Minnesota and New York, where ride seasons are short and buyers expect more comfort and tech from their investment, the Electra Glide has grown quieter in showrooms. Riders now want touchscreen navigation, built-in audio, and touring features that make long-haul riding easier and more enjoyable. Without those, the platform can feel incomplete, even if it's mechanically solid. For longtime riders who remember when simple was all you needed, the Electra Glide still holds meaning. But the next generation wants more, and this model has struggled to keep up. The next bike on this list shows that even when a motorcycle nails the look, poor comfort and outdated ergonomics can be its undoing. Number 5. Harley Davidson 48. Lean, loud, and unapologetic, this cruiser spoke in throttle, not words. With its compact peanut tank, chunky tires, and low stance, the 48 built a cult following among riders who favored style and raw personality over long-range comfort. It looked like rebellion and rode like a statement, but today that same formula feels more limiting than liberating. It runs on the air-cooled Evolution engine, making 65 horsepower and 73 pound-feet of torque from 1,202 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes a 2-piston front caliper and a 2-piston rear caliper with optional anti-lock braking system functionality. Suspension consists of a conventional telescopic front fork and dual coilover rear shocks. The wet weight is 552 pounds. The seat height is 26 inches, and the starting price is $12,299. In places like Milwaukee and Memphis, the 48 once dominated the scene, turning heads with its aggressive look and compact frame. But the small tank limits ride distance, the ergonomics punish taller riders, and the lack of modern features keeps it stuck in time. As newer cruisers offer improved comfort and better range without sacrificing style, this one is having a harder time keeping its place on the road. There's no denying the visual appeal or the legacy it carries, but even loyal fans are starting to admit that the riding experience hasn't kept up. The next bike on this list went in the complete opposite direction. Built for long hauls and luxury, only to struggle under the weight of expectation. Number 4. Harley Davidson Deluxe. A favorite among purists who wanted classic Harley soul without sacrificing performance. With deep fenders, gleaming chrome, and white wall tires, the Deluxe offered a visual homage to Harley's golden age. It stood out on the street and always looked dressed for a parade. But when it came to real-world comfort and modern usability, it started falling behind newer, better-rounded options. It is powered by the Milwaukee 8 107 engine, producing 92 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque from 1,746 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes a 4-piston front caliper and a 2-piston rear caliper with a standard anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of a high-performance telescopic front fork and a hidden hand-adjustable rear monoshock. The wet weight is 675 pounds, the seat height is 26.8 inches, and the starting price is $18,599. In cities like Baton Rouge and Birmingham, riders praised the Deluxe for its looks, but over time, looks alone were not enough. The compact riding position felt cramped on longer trips. The range was limited, and many riders found themselves replacing seats, bars, and controls just to get comfortable. As the market shifted toward performance and refinement, the Deluxe held its ground on appearance, but not on experience. Even loyal owners admitted it required too many changes to match their needs. The next bike on this list is the opposite, modern to its core, but lacking the emotional pull that keeps a rider loyal for life. Number 3. Harley Davidson Pan America 1250, the one that proved nostalgia and innovation could ride side by side. Designed to go toe-to-toe with established adventure touring bikes, the Pan America 1250 offered a new riding experience backed by impressive engineering. It brought modern features, long-haul capability, and off-road potential, but it struggled to find its place with both loyalists and newcomers. Riders didn't ignore it, they just didn't connect with it. It is powered by the Revolution Max engine, producing 150 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque from 1,250 cubic centimeters. The braking system features dual front discs with 4-piston radial calipers and a single rear disc with a 2-piston caliper, all supported by a cornering-enhanced anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes semi-active front and rear units with adaptive ride height technology. The wet weight is 569 pounds. The seat height adjusts between 31.1 inches and 32.7 inches, and the starting price is $20,000. In markets like Colorado Springs and Reno, riders praised the specs but questioned the identity. It didn't feel like a Harley. The styling, riding posture, and electronics all pointed toward function, not feeling. Traditional cruiser owners were turned off by the change in form, while adventure riders compared it to more established brands and moved on. There's no denying the innovation, but bikes that try to do everything often leave behind what matters most: soul. The next bike on this list returned to raw performance and West Coast style, but even that wasn't enough to keep buyers locked in. Number 2. Harley Davidson Lowrider S. Born to flex, this one brought California cool and brutal torque in one package. Built for riders who wanted aggression, torque, and a blacked-out style straight from the factory, the Lowrider S stood apart from Harley's traditional touring and cruiser lines. It was bold and unapologetic, but for many riders looking for comfort and flexibility, that stance came at a cost. It is equipped with the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, delivering 104 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque from 1,923 cubic centimeters. The braking system features dual front disc brakes with 4-piston front calipers and a 2-piston floating rear caliper. Suspension includes an inverted front fork and a rear coilover monoshock with preload adjustment. The wet weight is 659 pounds. The seat height is 27 inches, and the starting price is $20,000. In places like Portland and Las Vegas, the Lowrider S initially attracted younger riders and custom enthusiasts. But after time in the saddle, many realized it wasn't as forgiving as they hoped. The stiff ride, aggressive lean, and minimal touring options made it better suited for short, spirited runs than long weekends or daily commutes. For older riders especially, the riding posture and hard edge started to wear thin. It remains a serious performer and one of the most powerful bikes in its class, but market momentum is shifting toward motorcycles that balance muscle with comfort. The final entry on this list is proof that even Harley's most popular touring heavyweight can lose steam when rider priorities evolve. If you found this list helpful or surprising, go ahead and subscribe. We cover the shifts most riders don't hear about until it's too late. Stay sharp, stay ready, and we'll see you on the next ride. Number 1. Harley Davidson Street Glide Special. No frills, no gimmicks, just the pure touring DNA that made Harley iconic. With its iconic batwing fairing, stretched saddlebags, and commanding road presence, the Street Glide Special became a bestseller by offering both comfort and confidence. It led the pack in long-haul performance and backroad attitude, but now even the king of the road is facing a market that's changing fast. It is powered by the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, producing 105 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque from 1,923 cubic centimeters. The braking system includes reflex-linked front and rear calipers with anti-lock braking system integration. Suspension consists of a dual bending valve front fork and emulsion rear shocks with hand-adjustable preload. The wet weight is 811 pounds, the seat height is 26.4 inches, and the starting price is $27,000. In states like Michigan and Arizona, the Street Glide once sold as fast as it arrived. Riders love the ride quality, the infotainment system, and the loaded touring capability. But today, more are walking away from heavyweight baggers in favor of stripped-down, easier-to-manage bikes. For many, the size no longer justifies the purpose, especially for city commuting or riders looking to simplify their garage. The Street Glide still has its place, but its dominance is being challenged by changing tastes. It remains a beautiful machine, full of heritage and function, but now it's showing up more often in dealership showrooms than on the highway. As the market shifts, even legends must evolve, or risk being left behind. So there it is, the bikes that couldn't hold the line. Each one left its mark, for better or worse. Some were bold experiments, others just missed the mark. But together, They tell a story about how fast the road can change, even for a brand built on tradition. These aren't just machines, they're reflections of the riders who once believed in them and sometimes had to let them go. If you've been riding long enough, you've probably seen one of these up close. Maybe you owned one. Maybe you passed one by for something better. Either way, they all have something to teach us. Not just about Harley Davidson, but about the values, preferences, and roads we've all traveled over time. That's why we do this. To go deeper. To look past the paint and chrome and figure out what really works and what just doesn't stand the test of time. If you've made it this far, you're one of us. A rider who cares about more than just horsepower. So hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Because around here, the ride never really ends. It just shifts into the next gear.